Imagine this, you're coming home late at night. You take out your lighter, one flick of your finger and there's a flame. You don't even think about it. It's as easy as scratching your nose. But 1.8 million years ago, early humans couldn't do that at all. The fire was outside in the steppe, in the lightning, in the burning grass. And if you wanted some, you'd go out there, grab a burning branch with your bare hands, and carry it through the darkness back to the cave. Without lighting it, without creating it, just carrying it, like a smuggler hauling treasure across the border, knowing that if he drops it, it's all over. And this is where the real story begins. Not about how they lit the firewood, but about what they did with the fire once they had it. What happened inside those caves at night that changes everything. A cave without a fire is no shelter. It's a trap. A hyena can hear you in the dark. A leopard can see better than you. A cave bear weighs twice as much. You have no fangs. You have no claws. You don't even have proper fur to survive a night at 0 degrees. Homo erectus, your direct ancestor, was catastrophically vulnerable in this regard. Other animals solve this problem through their bodies. A bear hibernates. A wolf lives in a pack, relying on instinct. A monkey climbs a tree, but humans found another solution. They brought fire to where they spent the night, and that changed everything. A study published in the journal PLOS One found evidence that an early hominin species, Homo erectus, likely used fire in caves as early as 1.79 million years ago. This isn't the late Paleolithic with its cave paintings. This is an era when our brains were even smaller than yours, an era from which we are separated by nearly 2 million years. Nearly 2 million years of fire in caves. The first question that comes to everyone's mind is, how did they start it? The answer will disappoint you. They didn't start it. Homo erectus, it seems, did not know how to create fire from scratch. Instead, the evidence points to something in between. Ancient humans captured fire from steppe fires outside the cave and brought it inside, keeping it going until it burned out. In other words, the fire was borrowed, a gift of nature. They did not own it, they borrowed it from lightning and the elements. In the Wonderwerk Cave in South Africa, this has been established with particular precision. Traces of burning have been found in layers 30 meters deep from the entrance, far beyond the reach of any steppe fire. This means they deliberately carry the fire deeper into the forest. It wasn't by accident. It was intentional. They planned where they were going. An analysis of the sediments conducted by Francesco Berna and Paul Goldberg of Boston University revealed remains of burned plants and fragments of charred bones, which, by all accounts, burned right there on the spot rather than being carried there by wind or water. And here's what's important. This wasn't a one-time occurrence. Using a new method to detect traces of burning in fossilized bones, researchers found evidence of repeated use of fire deep inside the cave, again and again, from generation to generation. And that means someone had to tend the fire, keep it from going out, day after day. This was the first job in human history, and most likely, it wasn't done by hunters. Richard Wrangham of Harvard University spent 20 years studying chimpanzees in Uganda and came to a conclusion that turns everything you know about your body on its head. In his book Catching Fire, How Cooking Made Us Human he argues that the ability to use fire and cook food allowed the brain to grow larger and the digestive tract to shrink, and that this is what gave rise to Homo erectus about 1.8 million years ago. Think about it literally. Your intestines are shorter than a chimpanzee's, your teeth are smaller, your jaw is weaker. You're not physically adapted to eat raw meat in the quantities needed for survival. Weak jaws, small teeth, and a short intestine would never be able to process enough calories from raw food to sustain a large body. Fire solved this problem. Cooked food provides more calories. Less energy is spent on digestion. More goes to the brain. Homo erectus developed a smaller, but more efficient digestive tract, which freed up energy for brain growth. What you call "I love hot food" is neither a habit nor a whim. It is 1.8 million years of evolution encoded in your biology. But this part of the story will surprise you the most. When scientists began excavating the Qesem Cave in Israel, not far from present-day Tel Aviv, they found more than just traces of fire. They found a plan. In the Qesem Cave, researchers discovered the earliest evidence dating back approximately 300,000 years of the consistent and repeated kindling of fires over a long period of time. These findings suggest that ancient humans already possessed a highly developed social structure and intellectual abilities. The hearth, located in the center of the cave, is nearly 2 meters in diameter, and the layers of ash indicate that it was used repeatedly over a long period of time. This is not a fire at the entrance, where the wind blows. This is the center of the cave, an architectural design choice. Excavations have revealed evidence of habitual and continuous use of fire, repeated use of a central hearth, as well as strategies for cooperative hunting and meat sharing. Fire was used throughout the 200,000 years that the cave was inhabited, primarily for roasting and cooking meat. For 200,000 years, the same hearth in the center of this same cave. Around this hearth and right inside it, archaeologists found a large number of flint tools that were clearly used for butchering meat. Outside the hearth were other tools for other tasks. In other words, the space around the fire was organized. A place to eat here, a place to work there. This isn't just a campsite. It is the first interior in human history. Researchers believe that such a hearth could have been used by large groups of cave dwellers, and its location suggests that its construction involved planning and thus, a certain level of intelligence. The most underappreciated effect of a cave fire is neither warmth nor food. It is evening. Before the fire, night meant the end. Darkness meant danger, silence, and sleep. With the fire came a time that had not existed in nature before, a few hours between sunset and sleep, when people sat together around the flames and talked. In 2014, anthropologist Polly Wisner of the University of Utah studied what the Jew/Homsi hunter-gatherers in Botswana talked about by the campfire. During the day, 80% of conversations were about practical matters: food, tools, and roots. In the evening by the fire, 80% of the conversations were about people, stories, spirits, and memories. Fire created the first space in history for storytelling. What you call sitting down and having a heart-to-heart isn't a modern luxury. It's the oldest human practice of all. It's at least 300,000 years old, maybe as far back as 1.8 million years. Wrangham believes that cooking became the basis for communal living. Groups prepared food together, which laid the foundation for complex social ties and relationships. Fire did more than just nourish the body. It created society. For a long time, humanity depended on fire from external sources: lightning, natural forces, and chance. In a study published in the journal Nature, scientists describe how they discovered 400,000-year-old evidence of a hearth, flint tools, and fragments of iron pyrite at a Neanderthal campsite in the United Kingdom. According to the researchers, they have sufficient grounds to believe that human ancestors struck pyrite against flint, creating sparks and kindling a fire. This is a 400,000-year-old site where we see the earliest evidence of fire-making not only in Britain or Europe, but in the entire world, said Nick Ashen, one of the study's authors and a curator at the British Museum. 400,000 years ago, a Neanderthal picks up a stone, strikes it against another stone, sees a spark, and realizes that fire is now in his hands. It was the moment that forever changed the balance of power between humans and nature. For the first time, we weren't waiting for lightning. We became the lightning ourselves. The next time you click your lighter, pause for a second. This gesture is not just a matter of convenience. It marks the end of a journey spanning nearly 2 million years. A journey that began when someone ran toward the burning grass on the African savanna, grabbed a twig, carried it into the darkness of a cave, and laid it on the ground gently, as if it were a living creature. Because it was, in fact, a living creature, the only thing standing between him and the night. The first human fires were most likely embers from steppe fires ignited by lightning, which they carried back to the cave. Not an invention, not a discovery, just the courage to carry away someone else's flame and keep it from dying out. These people didn't know they were changing the course of the planet's history. They just wanted to get through the night. They wanted their children to be warm. They wanted to sit together and not be afraid of the dark. We still want the same things today. We've just forgotten what it cost us. If you found this story interesting, subscribe. Every week, I explore a moment from our ancestors' lives that turns your view of yourself today on its head.